As the clock counts down the last hours of 2020 here, some countries have already ushered in the new year. In New Zealand, celebrations went ahead as usual, with thousands gathering in Auckland for a fireworks display. Sydney Harbour in Australia was lit up, but parts of it were fenced off to revellers. And it was a sombre affair in Japan, with some people visiting Tokyo's oldest temple, but most celebrated quietly at home.
And goodbye 2020, hello 2021. This is the scene live in Moscow as the city begins its lower-key New Year celebrations. In Wuhan, China, the New Year was welcomed with a mass street party, a packed scene where the COVID pandemic began. We'll find out how different countries are welcoming in 2021. Well, let's just return to those live pictures in Red Square in Russia. They're the latest nation to see in 2021. Lower key, but as you can see, and in keeping with every other city around the world, they're using some fireworks. Let's join in. Well, the pandemic has meant that public events have been banned, bars and restaurants are all closed. But for those watching from home, these television pictures are, it's hoped, sufficient to join in those celebrations. So that's the scene in Russia. Well, many countries have decided to cancel the usual New Year celebrations, but some, it seems, have plenty to celebrate. Let's show you the scene in Wuhan, the capital of Hubei province in China. This was several hours ago. The New Year was welcomed with a mass street party exactly 1 year after the city reported an unknown pneumonia outbreak to the World Health Organization. That was later named COVID-19. Well, in many other parts of the world, celebrations had to be scaled back or cancelled because of surges in coronavirus. This is the scene in Dubai, which has been singing the New Year in the last hour. A socially distanced crowd was allowed to watch the fireworks at the Burj Khalifa. A very different scene in Paris. A curfew is in place there. Thousands of police officers have been deployed to ensure citizens don't gather in the city centre. That's seen on the Champs-Élysées just moments ago. Well, here in the UK, the New Year arrives as the country is battling a record number of coronavirus infections. Most celebrations across the country have been cancelled, including the famous London fireworks. Earlier, I spoke to our correspondents James Shaw in Edinburgh and Emma Vardy in Belfast and asked them if this year's celebrations are going to be very different.
That's right. I mean, Edinburgh's Hogmanay party is recognised around the world as one of the biggest, one of the most exciting, one of the most lively New Year's parties you can go to. People come from around the world to be here at this time normally, but not tonight. And looking at the scenes around me, it really is extraordinary. Such a strange atmosphere. Looking down the Royal Mile in front of me and Edinburgh Castle behind me, everything is so quiet. Just one or two people out seeing, I suppose, if anything is going on, perhaps looking at the illumination of the castle. On Prince's Street below me, the main shopping street through the centre of Edinburgh, there would be 80,000 people, sound stages the length of the street, a big concert going on in the city park next door to that main street, events all over the city, fireworks at midnight. None of that at all tonight. The only official event that is happening in this city tonight is a lone piper will appear on the ramparts of Edinburgh Castle just before midnight to play in the new year. And the message from the Scottish Government crystal clear about what people should do. Stay at home, only with your own household. Don't party in any way, indoors or outdoors with other people. And similarly from Police Scotland, they have said they will advise people, they will encourage people to obey and follow the restrictions. And if they don't, as an ultimate sanction, there are pretty hefty fines which can be imposed. So it is so strange, Simon, that in this year of coronavirus, which has been so difficult, it ends in this quiet, subdued, strange way in Edinburgh, almost the capital of New Year's celebrations, with everyone wondering what next year is going to be like here and in the rest of the world.
Indeed, absolutely. It's what we're all asking, isn't it? Emma, there in Belfast, a very similar mood, I would guess.
Yeah, that's right. A very, very deserted town centre here for New Year's Eve. Now, Belfast doesn't have any official fireworks like Edinburgh and London usually would, but of course this is usually a very, very lively city. But right now, Northern Ireland is in the first of 6 weeks of lockdown, and this first week has the tightest restrictions yet. So significantly, there's an 8 o'clock curfew. People must be at home. They mustn't go out after 8 o'clock at night, except for those essential workers, of course. So yeah, the streets will be very bare in town centres across Northern Ireland tonight. There's just a few buses around here now taking essential workers to and from their shift. Of course, I think you can see, the city centre is lit up just as beautifully as any other night, but it's going to be very still, very silent across Northern Ireland. And there have been some very stark warnings from the Health Minister here, Robin Swan, who's said to people, look, don't even think about having any house parties behind closed doors, so-called super spreader events. He said that could actually cost lives. And while it's going to be very quiet out here, inside our hospitals in Northern Ireland, a very, very different story. A lot of hospitals here operating over capacity, lots of warnings about the pressures, and Northern Ireland has seen record numbers of COVID cases recorded over the last few days, and that's why we've heard those very stark warning from the Health Minister today. Now, so really the only options for people, if you like, is sort of sitting at home, finishing off the Christmas food, watching BBC News perhaps on the television, and maybe a few Zoom calls with friends, and wishing people a happy new year, and just hoping that 2021 is going to be quite different in a number of ways.